Hi golfers, Nick here for Nick Taylor Golf. It's Friday, so welcome to another lesson on golf tips. This week on Golf Tips, I'm going to show you one of the biggest mistakes golfers make using the driver with the stack and tilt golf swing. In today's video, I'm going to show you a real life example of a golfer that went from 10 degrees out to in, hitting down with their driver, to swinging from in to out in just one lesson. It's such a simple tip. It makes a big difference to you golfers out there that are struggling with the driver and the stack and tilt golf swing. So in today's video, I'm going to show you this example, explain what we did, talk you through the movements, and then using the 3D motion here on the sensors here at GOLFTEC, I'm going to show you golfers a drill to help you play better golf. One of the biggest issues I see golfers make with the stack and tilt golf swing with the driver is not tilting enough in the downswing. So a lot of people understand the tilting in the backswing, which is the left shoulder down, but they don't necessarily understand the tilting in the follow through and the movements that you have to make to help you keep centered in the golf swing, to help you swing into out and to swing on plane. So in this lesson here, first of all, what we're going to do is just take a look at this example of this golfer from last week. This is in the same lesson, and I'm going to talk you through the change we made to help her make these changes, and then we're going to do a little test here where we hit a shot with less tilt and then increasing the tilt. We're going to take a look at the differences between those two swings to help you golfers out there understand this move and help you play better golf. Okay guys, so first up here, we're just going to take a look at a real life example here. This is one of the biggest issues I see with the driver, and it's going to relate to contact, it's going to relate to power, and it's also going to relate to the curve of the ball as a result of the swing path. So first of all here guys, you can see on the screen here we've got a golfer from Face On. It's a lady golfer. We've got the driver, and she was struggling with an out to in swing path. She was swinging about 10 degrees from out to in on the left hand side. On the right hand side, she was very straight into the ball. I think maybe 1 or 2 degrees into out we got to at the end of the lesson. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the shoulder tilt here. So at setup here, we have this shoulder tilt number. You can see it's very similar. The sensors are quite sensitive, so you can see that basically 17 and 21, so you can see maybe a slight difference there at setup, but the big difference is what happens in the downswing into impact. So in the backswing, you can see she actually tilted a little bit more downwards with the left shoulder going back, but it's more about what happens as we swing down. We can see she kept her arm a bit straighter. By the time we get down to sort of left arm parallel position here, you can see on the left hand side she's still in quite a big left tilt compared to the one on the right here, and you can see how her head continues to move downwards towards the target. Big difference here by the time we get to P6, which is when the shaft is parallel here. You can see she started to move into a right tilt by 30 degrees more. This is going to have a massive effect on the swing path, which we're going to take a look at in a second. Now coming into impact, you can see that big difference here. So 18 degrees of shoulder tilt on the left at impact compared to 50 degrees of shoulder tilt on the right there. So big difference at impact. You can see the head stays in that circle. You can see the hips have pushed forward. So you can see what that looks like from the face-on view, and why the shoulder tilt is so important is when we switch this round now, you're going to see a big difference between these two golf swings. So we have the two swings here from the side view. You can see I put these lines there, one on the shaft, one just above the elbow to show the swing plane. So in the backswing, you can see slightly more left tilt with the one on the right here, that's the shoulder moving downwards. And just have a look at the difference here as we swing down. So when we get down to where the left arm is parallel, this is a huge difference here. Look at where the hands are, look at where the club shaft is, and you can see the difference in the angle of the shoulders here. As we continue down, you can see by the time we get to kind of shaft parallel here, P6, you can see a big difference in the shoulder tilt here. I've set that noodle up there to help her control this swing path a little bit easier, but really the main instructions were to push her hips forward, tilt her shoulders more in the downswing. As we come down into impact here, you can see the difference in the delivery of the club head. So you can see on the left hand side how much outside of the ball it was, and on the right hand side how much more inside of the golf ball it was. Something else that's quite interesting at this point as well, if you just look at the way her body's positioned and her shoulders, I've just pulled up on the screen here a shoulder turn as well. So you can see that on the left hand side her shoulder tilt was very low and her turning was very high. Whereas on the right hand side it was the opposite. Her turning was a little bit less and her tilt was more, and that delivers the club more on the inside. So big difference there coming into the golf ball with the delivery of the club head just by turning less and tilting more. So first up, I'm going to do my attempt of that golfer's original swing at that start of that lesson, and we're going to take a look at the motion in a second. We've got the video set up here to help us with that. So the first swing here is going to be my no tilt, hips back, overturn the shoulders in the downswing. Let's see if I can hit this ball. Okay, so you can see on the screen there, pull to the left. So felt like as I hit through there, I kept my hips back, I didn't tilt my shoulders, and I kind of felt like a head moved forward, and I overturned my shoulders. And you can see the ball there has gone to the left. Let's take up that club data now. So on the screen there, you can see the club path was out to in 4.9 degrees. I hit 4 degrees downwards. You can see the contact was kind of low on the heel, and this is one of the biggest issues I see. Golfers hit down, hit out to in, they're trying to keep their weight forward, they're trying to attempt the stack and tilt golf swing, but they're just not doing it properly. So what do we do to help make that change and help this golfer improve their golf swing? So for this golfer, I didn't really change much at setup. I thought that was okay. In the backswing, we actually tried to keep her left arm a little bit straighter. She had a tendency of kind of collapsing and over swinging. I think the more she did that, the more problems she had in her swing. So we tried to keep that left arm a little bit straighter. I actually set up the noodle. You see me use those with the plane stations a lot. That's a good way of trying to train the swing path. But really the key to this was the feeling that we got in the downswing. Now, we did plenty of reps on this, and this is very important when you're practicing your swing. We do lots of practice swings. We're not just whacking balls in the lesson. Sometimes in the lesson I might only hit 5 shots because we're trying to really develop the feeling. So I held a club on her head, tried to get her to feel like her hips push forward in the downswing. So from the top here, feel like her hips push forward and her head tilts backwards. So we're trying to increase the shoulder tilt this way by pushing our hips forward and keeping her head steady. Plenty of reps keeping her head against my club and pushing our hips forward. I could already see that was making a difference to the swing path. And you guys try at home. If you make a swing and you tilt your shoulders, push your hips forward, it makes a big difference to the delivery of the club, and it's going to change the club path and the angle attack into the ball. Having the noodle there kind of reinforces that to help us stay under. So we did lots of practice swings. Then in that lesson, we actually looked at some of her practice swings, noticed that her head was staying more in the circle at impact, because in the original swing it was kind of moving forward as she went through, and increasing her hips moving towards the target. And then in the finish, we kind of just held that position, felt like she arched backwards, pushed our hips forward. This is really key to hit the driver well. Keeping the weight forward is not moving the head forward. It's one of the biggest mistakes I see. So you have to really develop that feeling, pushing the hips forward and tilting the shoulders. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to make a swing, trying to increase the tilt, trying to push my hips forward, and we're going to compare those swings and take a look at the video to see the differences from the face on camera and the side view. So this is going to be my maximum right tilt impact, push my hips forward, try and shorten the finish a little bit here. Basically what we tried to work on in that lesson, just to do the opposite to that previous swing. Okay, so you can see slightly shorter finish there. I tried to really push my hips forward, tilt my shoulders. Distance-wise, not too bad. Still got out there to 256 meters, even though that wasn't my kind of full-out shot, just slightly to the left. Felt pretty good. So let's take a look at some of that club data. So take a look at the club data there. You can see the club path moved 2.8 degrees into out instead of around 5 degrees out to in, and then 1.4 degrees upwards instead of about 4 degrees downwards. So massive difference in club path, massive difference in the angle attack into the golf ball. Contact was even better, higher on the face, more in the middle. Speed was up as well. So even though I shortened that swing, still got the speed, swung more on plane, and it was easier to do. So all I did there was push my hips forward, tilt my shoulders to help keep the club on plane. Let's take a look now at the motion numbers on the video and compare those two golf swings. So you saw the differences in the two shots there. So we've gone from swinging 4 or 5 degrees out to in to 2 degrees into out, and 4 degrees downwards to 2 degrees upwards in just making this change, a bit like in that lesson that we did. So let's take a look at my swing in a bit of detail using these motion numbers. So at setup here, we can see the shoulder tilt is basically the same. So shoulder tilt from this camera angle is this angle of the shoulders. It's basically my hips are pushed forward of my shoulder center, and that's what you'd expect with the driver. So my hips slightly forward of my shoulder center, and that creates a slight side tilt there, which helps shallow out the angle attack. The backswing, tried to swing those as similar as possible, so you can see very similar in the backswing. However, as we start to swing down here, this is where we start to see the big differences in terms of the head position and the hips. And you can see on the right hand side here, I'm increasing my shoulder tilt a lot more, pushing my hips forward. You can see my lower body and my right leg there kind of pushing towards the target, and then by the time you hit the golf ball there, my shoulder tilt has doubled. Even though my head's not perfectly in that circle, it's pretty close, and you can see the difference in the hip. So big difference in kind of my body movement coming down here. So just switching it around to the side view here, just take a look at this, guys. So from the backswing here, try to swing that as similar as possible, but the big differences here come in the downswing. You can see the hand path and the club path here, just by moving the body differently. On the left hand side, you can see the club moving outside to in. We saw that on the data there, downwards and out to in. There's the numbers there, the tilt and the sway. And on the right hand side, we saw this slightly into out and slightly upwards. Makes a big difference to the shot. It's more powerful, it's easier to connect with the golf ball and launch, and with lower spin. So big difference there in the body movement and impact just by pushing the hips forward and tilting the shoulders. Huge difference to that shot and that golfer last week. So hopefully it gives you guys an insight into the things that you might need to do in your swing to help improve your driver using the stack and tilt golf swing. It's important, guys, that you keep your head stable, you push your hips forward and tilt your shoulders in the downswing. It's not just in the backswing, but also in the downswing, as we saw in that video. So hopefully you guys enjoy the video and you can help improve your golf. So important golfers, make sure you stay on the grid, and I'll see you again next week for another video.